Hey everybody, welcome back to another Nerds and Squares podcast presented by the Block Party, aka Beefy Fun. I'm the host with the most, Captain Zeus, followed by the lovely Novaverse, and we have a special guest here joining us in today. We got Gravy. Say hi to the folks, everybody.
Oh, hello, hello. My name is Gravy. That's all I got. That's my intro for now.
It's so iconic. We're gonna look back on this years later and be like, "Hello, hello. My name's
Like
Gravy." It's just highlight of the year right there.
anything that goes on the internet lives forever. I'd rather play it down than play it up and have it come back to bite me.
That's true.
That's
That's
what I'll
true.
say.
I'm the one saying the host with the most, so I have that going for me.
Remains to be seen.
So Star Wars. Today's episode is about Star Wars, brought to you by Raid Shadow. No, I'm kidding. It's not. We're not. We don't have any sponsors. But we all watched Tales of the Jedi this past week, and it was so good. It was so freaking good. I personally freaking loved the series. To be honest, I thought the Ahsoka episodes were gonna be a lot better, but I think it's because I was just so hyped up on the Dooku episodes that the Ahsoka ones were just kind of played down a bit. Like they were good. Like don't get me wrong, they weren't bad. The first one was pretty
hmm
cute. I enjoyed it. The one with the hunting one, I enjoyed that one. The training episode was pretty good. Didn't really feel too much for it. It was like a really good character development kind of episode. And then the last one where we see that sick freaking Inquisitor. Oh, by the way, in case you haven't noticed, spoilers. Probably just spoiled like 3 episodes right there.
Yeah.
Play the spoiler alert at the beginning before we start talking.
I will. I will. There you go, future me. But yeah, the Inquisitor coming in who sounded sick as frick. I kind of wish he didn't die because he looked so cool and menacing. Like I wish we could have saw
hmm
more of him. And then
Mhm.
the Dooku episodes. Yaddle, R.I.P. My girl,
Yeah.
my girl Yaddle.
I see. I love Star Wars just as a medium, right? Like it's just a good way to tell stories. Like it's a good universe to set any story in. And I appreciate that they keep coming back to I mean, it feels kind of like they just dust off Old Reliable every time that they're like, "Man, we need something." And then they go back to the Clone Wars there and they're like, "Perfect, we got it." And so like I've really enjoyed it. Like, do not get me wrong at all. However, I do appreciate some of the other ventures that they have done outside of Tales of the Jedi, just because I think that Star Wars feels afraid sometimes as a franchise to step away from the Skywalkers or the
Yep.
uh, Palpatines, and like even in Tales of the Jedi, like even though it's not inherently about Palpatines or Skywalkers or any of those like bloodlines, right? They're still hugely influential with Dooku and Ahsoka. So it's hard to be critical because it kind of is just sort of like, hey, here's more backstory that we know you guys will like, So like I focused, I think, more on the artistic aspects, the direction, artistically and like with the music, uh, which also is, I mean, still really good.
It's goat,
It
man. Dave
Disney
Filoni coming goat.
Disney Yeah, Dave Filoni and with that Disney budget, it's hard. I mean, anything less than great, right, would be disappointing
Yep.
because when you have that kind of money, and it's the same thing with that goes with like Marvel stuff, which is why I think a lot of people are starting to get on the Marvel is kind of on the downward trajectory, because it's like when you have unlimited unlimited budgets essentially, for projects that you truly believe in, anything other than perfection is going to be heavily scrutinized. Not to say that this series is perfect, but it's really, really good.
Oh, so
Tales
good.
of the Jedi. Yeah.
Did I say it was
So
so good? I forgot to say that. It's like so good. Nova,
oh
tell
yeah.
us your thoughts, man. Come on, spill the beans, Nova. I know you got beans to spill.
What? Okay. Um, I mean, I thought it was amazing, man. Just for 6 episodes, they put a lot of work into it. Um, I really like the Ahsoka episodes, but I think the Count Dooku ones really uh took the cake. Um, and I mean, because that's like a little gap in which a lot of people don't really know about. They just, know based off the movies, just, you know,
Oh, he's frozen.
Duke was a bad guy and stuff like that. Now we kind of get to see, hey, he was with, the Jedis, he went through that struggles just like Anakin. And so like you can kind of see the similarities with him and Anakin. And I really like seeing that. They did change some stuff. I didn't mind. Kind of like with Yaddle, they changed um her up. I
I mean,
didn't mind though.
I don't think they ever confirmed she died like post Disney buyout. I know pre Disney
Um,
buyout they did have like a way that she died, but I
yeah.
don't remember post
Um,
Disney.
I believe in the book she died on a mission with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Oh,
Um, yeah, she kind of like
sacrificed herself, I'm guessing.
sacrificed herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how she dies. But, I'll still take her um dying trying to save Count or trying to save Dooku. I'll definitely take that. But um it was really good. Going with like what Gravy was saying with like the art style and the direction they were going with. Um, Especially in the Dooku episodes, they did really well with like the lighting in the episodes where
Oh yeah.
you could see Dooku's always in the shadows in the dark, and then whenever he finally closes the door on Yaddle, he just confirmed that like, hey, I'm on the dark side now.
I'm a baddie.
It's sealed. And then Yaddle, kind of like opening the door again, like, hey, there's a chance, and he's like, nah, nah, I'm sorry. The decision is made. Yeah. So kudos for Dave on that art stuff, man. Like the
Dude, Dave is literally
great
George Lucas
creativity
Jr.
of those little scenes. Yeah, basically. I don't know if we can go like into each individual episodes, but that was kind of just like
I mean, we can. I
the
mean, they were
my
each like
overall.
15 minutes each, so it's not like it's too much to go over. Like, I know I personally love the Dooku episodes more, especially because, I don't know, I'm a sucker for conflict like that. Like, I love
Hmm.
seeing the turmoil between the light and dark between a lot of these characters. Like, especially in the Star Wars universe, it is pretty common where someone on the light side or on the dark side is struggling between both, And you see it very well with Dooku because in the prequel era, the Republic was just the dogs of the or the Jedi Council were the dogs of the Republic. That's literally what they were.
Yeah,
And you see Dooku, he's like, that's not what we're supposed to be. That's not what we should be. And he's trying to like do good, but because of the way the Jedi were at the time, like he's just so happens to be influenced into the dark side in order to achieve his ultimate goal. Like, and that's one thing with like Marvel that I disliked, but this was done very well, is where they're making villains seem more heroic, quote unquote. Like Dooku was one of those people that was just like a fallen hero, right? Like he was trying to do
mm,
good the whole time, but he tried the best he could doing good the way he was taught, but it wasn't working, and so he had to choose the other avenue to bring actual peace. I mean, you see it in Marvel where they're making legit bad villains into like trying to make them into good characters, which I'm like, please stop that. And it's also like always done pretty cheesily, but the way they showed it here in just three 15-minute episodes was just so well done. Like,
hmm,
I mean, it does help that obviously we have an entire Clone Wars series of just build up with a lot of these characters, and with
yeah,
Star Wars, especially in the prequel era, like a lot of these characters have some good conflict with them, and I don't know, it was just I just really enjoyed it, and kind of like what you were pointing to earlier, Nova, was the whole battle with Yaddle. That was like that was Anakin's fight with Obi-Wan essentially. That was his final
yeah.
fight between
I can see that.
staying in the light side or truly going to the dark side. And there was a lot of moments where he was like, I could go back. I could, it's not too late. but he realized he had gone too far. I mean, when you delete
Yeah,
Camino
man.
off and you kill have a couple of people die because of it, like it's kind of hard, you know. And then you got Poppy Palpatine over there, just like do it, and you know Yaddle, she did her best. She really did. Mad
I feel
respect to her.
like I feel like the conflict in the internal conflict with Ahsoka was also really well done, but it's sort of inverse in a way where I feel that she to start obviously has Anakin's inherent skepticism of the council and things like that, evident through the way that he puts her through the training with the clones. Um, and basically hazing her. I don't really know how else to put it. Like he hazes her.
Just a little.
Um, yeah, and just has them run those drills over and over and over again. And like spoilers for other Star Wars content. And
Another spoiler
spoilers
alert.
for so yeah, spoiler alert warning for just like Ahsoka's future as a character. We know that she falls out of grace with the Jedi Order the same way that Dooku probably would have if Dooku wasn't influenced by Palpatine.
Yeah.
You know, she becomes a gray Jedi. She knows
Gray Jedi. They're
gray
not
Jedi, yeah, whatever,
canon.
not canon, but you know,
She was it.
yeah, she's a great Jedi. The same way that Qui-Gon likely would have. I mean, the reason that Qui-Gon even took his seat on the council is to voice the opinions that he knew Dooku held, right? Like that there's so many instances where it's just like Ahsoka is just Dooku 2 generations later, you know. Ahsoka is what Dooku would have been if Dooku became a Jedi at the very, very end of the Republic, you know. And instead he, you know, we just see 3 different versions of the same character. Not that it's bad because it makes it interesting
Right.
to
Yeah.
see, but it is they're the same. They're the same type of character, and um, I appreciate the parallels, you know, in storytelling. You know, like you had pointed out with Dooku and Anakin, and sort of the way that Palpatine had manipulated them both, and then again with Qui-Gon and Ahsoka and all of that. So I don't know. I think that I'm excited to see if there's gonna be is there gonna be any more? I have not been following this. I literally
So
only watch it because Zeus is
I
like, you should watch this.
I
It's really
think
good.
from what I'm told, this is all we have right now. We only have these 6 episodes. I truly hope that we get more because this was absolute gold. Like this was S tier content, to be honest.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, no, I agree.
I know we're
It was
getting a
really, really
second
good.
season of Visions,
Yeah.
which I have conflicting feelings of, but I did enjoy some of those episodes of Visions, you know, but just not all of them. I mean, if that can get a second season, I don't see how this can't get a second season. I mean, it was just so good.
I think it
Yeah.
honestly depends on how much they want to promo it because this certainly gives the feeling of a like a labor of love. Like this definitely was a more
For the fans.
this isn't supposed to be a moneymaker. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is fan service as a series
I'll
as
take
it
it.
stands right now.
I'll take it.
And yeah, which you know, sometimes fan service can be a moneymaker. Look at the sequel trilogy. But um,
Sorry.
you know, but I think that if they do more, I would like to see more about Qui-Gon first of all,
Oh, I was thinking the
because
same thing.
I think total across every medium we get like 15 total minutes of Qui-Gon being Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
He's not dead or a child.
We
So
need an
I
in
think more
between.
of Qui-Gon would be good. Yeah, more of the between birth and death would be good for Qui-Gon.
Just a little bit.
Um,
Hmm.
I think that there needs to be a Darth Vader focused series, and this would be the best way to do a Darth Vader focused sort of thing because I don't think that anyone wants to sit around for 30 to 45 minutes a la Obi-Wan Kenobi or Andor style TV show and watch
So
Darth Vader
bad.
just be a bad guy doing bad guy things. And I also don't think anyone would watch a movie um, about it either, really. So I think that this would be the best way to tell sort of these smaller in between arcs about Vader as Vader because, you know, unless you read the comics, or the novelizations, you don't really get a whole lot of that. I mean, you know that he's the big bad and
And
like
you
super
Yeah.
see the
powerful.
proof in the pudding with those novels and comics
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Like some of those scenes, I mean, like the all I'm surrounded by
Yes, that's literally what I
is
thought of.
is uh is Fear and Dead Men. Like just even just that series as uh a TV series, I guess, would be really good. I think, at least.
So kind of to follow on your point there, I was actually it's funny because I was saying that earlier. I think it would be great to have more Qui-Gon. But I think what we could have is Qui-Gon with his multiple pupils because I know he had several that went to the dark side. And so having having to see his conflict between trying to be good and all of his pupils continuously going bad, I think could be good. And then maybe we'll have the parallel with like Darth Vader, where he's doing bad, but he's also trying to be good, or in like some way, like maybe for like Padme, or like those moments where he sees a character that's like gives him like a clone or something. I think he grew fond of one of the clones because he remembered him from the Clone Wars or something, and so where he's trying to like do good in that aspect, but he's constantly having to shut down those good feelings because of Palpatine and everything. So I think like a second season would be good to see Qui Gon and Darth Vader as the parallel, especially since Darth Vader should have been trained by Qui Gon, and this is what happened when he wasn't. And so you see the aftermath of that, and I also love pre. I suppose it's still prequel era, but pre-prequel movie content. It's great. Like I know Nova and Panda talked about this in the last Star Wars podcast episode. Guys, go check that out. It's pretty cool. Where we're tired of things happening between episode 3 and 4. Like I'm sick and tired of watching content between 3 and 4. Like that's only like a 20-year period. Like I'm glad that we're getting stuff after episode 6. I'm glad we're getting some things before episode 1. Like this universe is giant. Like there's so many stories we can tell. Like especially
Hmm.
like with Visions. Visions isn't even canon, but there was so many great stories in that. But yet for some
Yeah.
reason everyone wants to focus on the rebellion. Like that's not even the most interesting part of this entire Star Wars universe.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. What do you think, Nova?
Is he frozen? No,
Oh,
he's
he is frozen.
he
No, he's
was.
not frozen anymore.
I'm not
What do you think,
frozen.
Nova?
I've been going in and out. What was the question again? The 3 and 4 period?
Yeah,
Was that,
just your overall thoughts, man. Give us the Novaverse opinion.
so for the 3 and 4 parts, yeah, I like me and Panda talked about, that's kind of it's a transition of power. We're just going from the Republic to the Empire. Um, I don't really care for it. It's kind of just showing like, oh, the Empire's bad, but
That's a perfect freeze frame
it's a
right
new
there.
order, so you know they're kind of trying. Yeah, I know. They're trying to help. The Empire's not that bad, but like they're showing the Empire's bad. Um, it's alright. But I'd rather see some action. So that's why I kind of like the Clone Wars era, or when we're moving like to 5 and 6, like we're actually seeing some Rebel and Empire action. I like that. But going back to my boy Count Dooku, or I guess the Jedis in general, man. It was stuck in my mind, but dang, man,
Dang, man.
the Senate really screws the Jedi over. The Senate really screws them. Oh, I mean, we had 2 episodes about senators and both of them being corrupt. I mean, that's he was corrupt. Never mind.
No, they
I
were
was
both
trying to
corrupt.
justify it.
Yeah,
They were both
yeah,
corrupt.
they were both
Screw
corrupt.
them.
The entire
But yeah,
Senate is
like,
essentially corrupt. Like that was the
yeah,
whole
for
thing.
real. And that really, like, see what happens? It just screwed everything
That's
over.
why the
And
Sith are good. You just gotta kill them off, man. Just
exactly, I'm over
over here freezing. That's what you're doing.
here like actually like considering and siding with Dooku. I'm like, honestly, Dooku, hey, sometimes we gotta take this into our own actions. Like, I
He's right.
believe it was the 3rd episode. It was with him and Windu.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I do like how it was kind of like a yin and yang of Windu, you know, following the orders, but then like Dooku was like, hey, sometimes we can't follow the orders exactly how it is because, everything can't be perfect, you know what I mean? And I really like that, but man, the Senate really screwed the Jedi's over. Um, and it's unfortunate how like I think Dooku was talking about it or someone talked about it. How they're the lapdogs of the senators or
It
something
it
like
was
that.
in that
The
episode
Jedi,
with Windu.
yeah, the Jedi Council is the lapdogs of the senators, and I mean that's a lot of parallels to a lot of I mean real world stuff today, or like other different series. Like I know this is a Star Wars episode, but I am watching One Piece, and
Oh gosh.
I mean I make that comparison to One Piece because the Celestial Dragons, we'll call that the Senate, they're the higher ups, and then the admirals are their lapdogs. So there was, some people that didn't want to become admirals because they didn't want to serve directly to the higher ups, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I saw right there with that. Um, Other thoughts.
Man, this man's
This is
freezing.
just
None.
a little small thing. I do like how I keep on freezing.
It's
With
perfect.
Ahsoka, um. I like how it was more subtle that it was like, oh, she's a Jedi. It wasn't like, she's like forcing things around and all that stuff. It was like a subtle like, hey, because I think it's in the Rebels they talk about it or a couple different Star Wars stuff that like force sensitive people
They're frozen.
make a connection to animals really well. So,
Hmm.
oh my God. Do you guys hear what I say, or I'm just frozen?
You just
No, we
freeze
can
for a
hear you.
moment and then you like continue with what you were originally saying before you froze. It just speeds up a little bit.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I do like how they did it more subtly, where like force sensitive people make a better connection with like animals or living beings and stuff like that. So it was nice seeing it like that rather than her like force choking that dang tiger or something like that. I don't know. But I really like that little subtle change. But yeah.
Dude, I thought you were gonna
That's-
talk about where she pushed the hay, and that was the hint instead of like it being in Obi-Wan. It's like, yeah, that's the Jedi right there. Like,
Oh, I'm
and then
talking
he starts
about the
force pushing and fighting the Inquisitors. Like, oh wow, that's a Jedi. Never would have
I
thought.
was talking about the when she was a child.
Well,
I
I
like
I
that. It
got
was like
that now,
okay.
but I thought that's
Okay,
where
I
you
was
were
like,
going at first. I was
there's
like,
no
what are you talking?
tiger in that episode.
I was like, there's no
Um,
tiger that time.
Also, uh, one of my friends I was talking about tells about the Inquisitor. Apparently, he is. I don't know which number is he. Is he the sixth brother?
I think
Or
he's the sixth brother, if I remember
yeah, that's what
correctly.
I'm thinking. Um, but he has connections with. I'm trying to think the other Inquisitors. I think he's connected with the Ninth Sister from
Is that the game?
the from the game. Yeah.
Fallen
Uh
Order.
yeah, Fallen Order with Cal Kestis.
That was a good game
Yeah, he has connections with her because
because he was frozen.
there was an incident with like clones or something like that, and they basically triggered the execute Order 66 again, and they kind of like attacked the Inquisitors, and so they're
Oh,
trying to escape. Yeah,
oh,
and
I remember. I think I read a comic or something about that. Where,
yeah,
yeah, okay.
and so I kind of already knew that like the sixth brother was kind of like sleazy in a way. Um, and so he actually to escape, he cuts the ninth sister's leg to escape, and she kind of just leaves her to die. But of course, we see her later on, and she has like a robotic leg when you're fighting her in the game as
Dude, I
Cal Kestis,
totally did not notice
and
that. I didn't know she
yeah,
had robo legs. What the frick? I gotta go back and play this game.
yeah, and then that's when in well, okay, spoilers for the game.
Big spoiler.
Whenever you progress through the fight, I think she cuts off her own limbs or something like that, and she uses just the Force to wield her lightsaber, and so I guess that kind of through that instance she becomes really close with the Force, using that as her sort of limbs in fighting. But yeah, that's the connection with the sixth brother, um, and the ninth sister, and I think there was another Inquisitor, in that instance.
I
But
want to
but
know
yeah,
who
I
he
knew he
was
wasn't going to do anything
beforehand.
to Ahsoka. Oh yeah, I would like to too. But I mean, I knew he wasn't going to do anything to Ahsoka. He talked a big game, but girl just pulled up and was like, "Hoo-yah!" and cut him down. I was
Bro,
like, hell yeah.
she
Bodied
literally
his
didn't even need to
ass.
do anything. She's like, I am one with the force is with me, and just beats him with a stick, bro.
Basically,
Oh
yeah.
man.
Also, pet peeve. The girl who was like, "Oh, you're a Jedi," and I'm like, "Dude, can you like
Dude,
quiet
for
down, please?
real.
I could die because of this. Why are you saying this so loud?"
And then she's
And
like, yeah, we'll be okay, right, Ahsoka? And Ahsoka's like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, shut the frick up. Like, I hate those moments
right,
like you
Ahsoka,
see
you're a
throughout the
Jedi, and I'm
series.
like, "Oh my,
They're like, oh my gosh, that guy's a Jedi. That's my friend. And he's like, okay, that's great. I'm gonna die now. Cool, yeah, I'll go save
we're
your
gonna
sister from a
die."
hole. Or some stupid reason.
Yeah, we're gonna die. But yeah, that at that instant, I was like, dude, we could have avoided this whole episode if you didn't say that so loudly, and your brother wasn't
A
a
fucking
wiener.
snitch.
Dude, he was
Yeah,
such a snitch.
A goddamn narc.
See, and you know what? When everyone died, like, not to sound effed, like, I saw that coming. Like, this man snitched, and I'm like, these Inquisitors, they're not nice people. They will murder everyone just to get the attention of a Jedi.
See,
Possibly.
this is
yeah.
that episode is how I knew that I would never be cut out to be a Jedi because I was like the Inquisitor is about to kill that dude, and I was like, good. Like
Good.
I was like, go for it.
I honestly
On
was in the same boat. I was like,
ahead.
You think I'm
please
gonna
kill him.
save you, you fucking rat?
Yeah, for
Go.
real.
You snitched on me. You know what they say about snitches, right?
Yeah, it's
What's up,
only gonna get
lightsaber?
worse for you if you survive. So
See, I think, like, for the Jedi, pre-prequel era, like, High Republic was probably, like, a really dangerous time because I know there's, like, the Sith and other Dark Force users around a lot. But then prequel era up until the clones was like fine because you only have like little skirmishes to deal with. Like you're not actually doing anything. But then after the prequels, or at least after the clones, no, you're basically on the run because it's either your clones are gonna kill you, or your former students are gonna kill you, or Darth Vader's gonna kill you, or just someone's gonna kill you. Someone is gonna kill you, dude. Like it's just inevitable.
Mm.
yeah, I think that I I feel like the uh like Order 66 essentially just splits the Star Wars universe into two types of uh like I don't really know. I mean, it's obviously two different settings, but I mean like the prequels are drama, right? They're dramas.
Yeah,
That's all that they're there for. They're
basically.
political dramas, they're interpersonal relationship dramas. And then you get one really cool fight scene to kind of cap it off. And then after Order 66, you have very like a very obvious, very clear like black and white situation of the good guys and the bad guys. You want to
Yeah.
see some cool fights. You want to, that's when it kind of turns into the like it gets marveled almost, where like the characters become as deep as a puddle for the most part, and like I know that I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this,
Oh,
but like I love Luke Skywalker, but I don't think that any characters except for maybe Darth Vader are particularly complex. And Darth Vader is only complex because he's the only one left over from before that part of like movie making, the move of the universe, I should say.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so like not that they're bad, because I mean I think that the fifth movie is the best one of them all, but like four, five, and six, seven, eight, and nine, are all cookie cutter in a sense. Like I think that uh, uh Rogue One, Rogue One is the only compelling from like a storytelling standpoint, because obviously all of them have the Star Wars sheen on them, where you're gonna want to watch them because it's Star Wars. It's
Of
fucking sick.
course, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah, exactly.
Rogue One, if you peeled off the Star Wars skin, is still a really good story, and I don't think you could say that about a lot of other post prequel movies. Whereas like prequels actually might be better if they weren't Star Wars. You know, like if they were just straight up dramas, I think they might
Just soap opera.
actually
I mean,
be
just
received better. Yeah.
fix some of the
Yeah.
dialogue, maybe. Like if we had the original
Well, yes.
dialogue. in
Someone
there.
else needs to write the dialogue.
I don't like sand.
Someone else
It's
needs to
coarse and grainy. 5 minutes
Yeah,
later,
exactly.
Anakin, stop, please, not in this hole.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah. I if someone else wrote the dialogue and people didn't come in with the expectations of 4, 5, and 6 for those movies, I think that they would be received way better.
I could
And
actually
that they
agree
would
to
tell
that.
way more interesting stories. You know, but instead everyone's like, where are the cool lightsaber fights? Why am I listening to all of these old fucks talk about politics
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
don't really know or care about at the moment, because I don't know how this turns into the later movies, you know? And instead, you know, you have people who just absolutely dunk on them. Maybe rightly so.
Maybe. Just a couple of moments.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just my take. And I think that the Tales of the Jedi series makes the prequels look better. I think that the more stuff that
Yeah.
comes out for Star Wars makes the prequels look better just in general. Because they somehow needed more than the 3 movies that they got, because a lot happened and nothing happened at the same time in those
It
those
was
3
so
movies.
much and so little all at once.
Yeah, because all of these insane things are happening behind the scenes, and it's just implied, I guess, that like these things are happening because you're watching like Obi-Wan figure out what's going on in Camino, and you're like, okay, but what's Camino? And then he's like, the clones. There's a secret clone facility, and you're like, okay, but what? And then you get to the 3rd movie, and everyone's murdered, but like you forgot that the clones are even an important part of the story
And
by the
then
time you got to the 3rd movie.
you get a 7 series that explains to you the exact Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly, and that is sick. But the movies, in a vacuum, suck ass.
I could actually agree to your point, though. To actually most of your points, to be honest. Because, like, after the prequels came out and then we got Clone Wars, I think Clone Wars was the reason why the prequels feel better than what they were, like, just watching them. Like, if you're just doing a Star Wars marathon and you just watch 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, the prequels are gonna be meh. I mean, number 3, in my opinion, is GOAT. Like, I'm gonna enjoy that no matter what. Like, I could watch that on its own on repeat. But like when you watch Clone Wars, like before or after you watch, the prequel trilogy, it gives you such a different feeling because they build up the relationships with all of these characters so well. With the Jedi and their clones, Anakin actually having a student and then leaving, the connections between Anakin and the council, and the fact that he's just like, these guys aren't what they're supposed to be or what they should be, the slow manipulation and just corruption of Anakin throughout the series as well. All these little things that happen throughout this 7-season series just like builds up the fall so much more.
I mean, hell, the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, it is okay. Like, choreography wise, it's fantastic.
I was about to say,
Okay.
just come on, man.
But
Yeah.
I would say that, like, even Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship, it's supposed to be this insane, like, these two, like, they're brothers, right? And they're fighting. They're basically brothers, father, son, whatever you want to call that. And if you actually go back and like watch just 1, 2, and 3, it's like, okay, in episode 1, Anakin is a child and Obi-Wan is a master. They have one mission together, protecting the girl that Obi-Wan or that Anakin falls in love with. And then in episode 3, they get split up, and then after they say goodbye, to each other because Anakin is going to fuck, I can't even remember. Obi-Wan's gonna go to that one planet and ride the lizard and go fight
Grievous. I can't
I
remember the
can't
planet's
remember
name.
anyone's. Yeah, go fight Grievous, and Anakin is going to go fuck off and go do his own thing,
It's
and
not
then they fight.
Alderaan, is
It's
it?
That's not Alderaan.
No, it's not
Um,
Alderaan.
No. He doesn't go to Alderaan. No, he goes to
It
Murder
starts
Planet.
with a
and
U
Remember?
or something. Yeah.
and so it's like you get like 5 or 6 really
I'm about to
impactful
Google
scenes
this.
for those two between 3 movies. That is so little. That is so little, and you get way more of that in just about every other Star Wars thing that isn't a mainline movie. You get so much more relationship building and character building. And like again, I'm gonna get chastised for this, but it's so much of it is just because of the expectation that Star Wars fans have placed on the series of what they want. Because no Star Wars fan watches a movie and is like, I'm here for the character development. No. That's what makes a good movie. Unfortunately, I hate to break it to other Star Wars fans, but you
Oh,
need to see the relationships evolve before you can get invested in a character in a meaningful way. And
it's
so
Huda Pao.
I was gonna say it starts with a
Ooh, the
U, but I
pow.
couldn't remember how to
I
say
was like
it.
a U or an O, something like that.
Ooh,
But
the
yeah.
pow.
Yeah, and so like you get these because the thing that makes the original trilogy great, right, is there's a lot of there is a lot of exposition and backstory. Um, it in sort of specifically with Ben Kenobi, he does a lot of the heavy lifting as far as the dialogue goes.
Oh yeah.
Um, in the first movie, and then the second and third movies are just done with great writing and Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher mostly. I like Mark Hamill. He's a great actor and great voice actor, but he is not a good actor in 4, 5, and 6. Um, he's a good Luke Skywalker, but he's not a good actor in those particular films. And then you get to 1, 2, and 3, and you don't maybe have actors who are as strong as Alec Guinness or Harrison Ford or Carrie Fisher. And then the movie struggles a little bit because you don't have actors who can maybe take a little bit more liberty with their lines. Like Carrie Fisher was a script doctor for most of her life. She fixed a lot of George Lucas's horrible writing in in the original trilogy.
I don't like
Harrison Ford
sand.
Harrison Ford changed his lines constantly. And then you get to 1, 2, and 3 where you have um Ewan McGregor, who's a good actor, but he's not of like Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher echelon of like I can kind of do what I want on set type of actor. And Hayden Christensen, who basically did like one movie before and one movie after and nothing again.
Yeah.
And then Natalie Portman, who didn't really have any lines. She was kind of just there, which is unfortunate because she was also is a really good actor.
She's a honey
And
pot.
then that's like it's so unfortunate because she's so good and they literally just use her to be there and be hot and you're like,
It
man,
worked.
if she
It
was like
worked, though.
it worked for Anakin.
Sure did.
Yeah. And then you have um what's his name? I can't even remember his name. He's Qui-Gon
Liam
taken.
Neeson.
Liam Neeson, who is basically just another Keanu Reeves, who's like a good actor, but not when you let him talk a lot. Like
He's a good
so.
action star. That's basically
Yeah,
it.
he's a good action star, but he's not like you don't watch Liam Neeson movies because you want to hear Liam Neeson talk a lot. Like that's not the point. So
I mean, if it was Morgan Freeman, maybe, but
yeah, yeah. So then you end up with the original trilogy or with the prequel trilogy, where none of the lines are changed. All the actors are stuck with these horrible parts that are not being adjusted to the actor's strengths or the script strengths. And then on top of that, you have straight up bad writing and not a lot of uh, circumstance to put you in the world, and you get this clusterfuck.
but don't forget
And
the CGI. Can't forget the crazy CGI.
I love Jar Jar Binks and Jar Jar Binks CGI.
Go home. You are drunk. Go home. That is such
I-
disgusting blasphemy. Blasphemy? Blasphemy.
Blasphemy?
Blasphemy.
I am a blasphemer for believing that.
You are a blasphemer. I had a freaking mini stroke there. What the heck?
Yeah. So now they're kind of doing a little bit of revisionist history, though. Disney's going back and putting band-aids over holes in a sinking ship sometimes. You know?
I think for Disney, their biggest success was doing The Mandalorian and having it outside of the norm of where we have content. Because like we've mentioned before, we always get things between 3 and 4. You know, we get a little things in the prequel era, but as many of the book fans wanted, we wanted things post 6, but not so post that it's the sequel trilogy. You know, like 2 generations behind. And so having The Mandalorian take place only like a few years, it seems, I think it's like 5 or something like that, just after the Empire fell, was great. And then you're having essentially like a whole mini universe being built around that era. You're having brand new characters becoming stars in their own rights. You're having old beloved characters come back and being stars in their own right, or being ruined if it's the Book of Boba Fett, but you know, whatever. And
Boba Fett was never good. You can't change my mind. I never thought Boba Fett was a good
Boba Fett
character.
was cool. He was cool, man.
Boba Fett was a literal attack dog.
He was cool
for one movie, and then he died.
Look, they could have made him so good with the Book of Boba Fett. They could have made him an actual boss.
Oh yeah,
but they ended up making him.
But they didn't.
A little freaking dancing farmer guy. Like, I don't know.
Like a bantha.
Like a bantha. But yeah, like, that is one thing I love is the stories that take place outside of what we usually get. And it's I don't know. I don't know who's I'm pretty sure it's because Dave Filoni. I think it's just Dave Filoni. I just love the guy and what he does because he's doing great. I mean, that's how we got Mandalorian with him and the Jon Favreau combo wombo. We got Clone Wars, which is GOAT. We got Rebels, which personally I enjoyed, but I was really there for the lore. Like the lore and the story that the world essentially they were building in that 3 to 4 era was great. And then Tales of the Jedi is just amazing. I think it's just anything Dave Filoni's on board with or is in charge of. It's magic. It's gold. It's literally Walt Disney's seal of approval. Or George Lucas' seal of approval, I should say, not Walt Disney.
Agreed.
I think that a major thing that was not understood for a really long time, and this is partially George Lucas's fault, and it took until he sold the property to Disney to actually like realize how good the potential was, is any story without Jedi or Sith Force users specifically, because I think that the minute that you start to include someone like a Jedi, right, or Boba Fett, for example, this is to kind of expand on your point about Book of Boba Fett, you're boxing yourself in so much with expectations about what the audience wants, about what they expect from a character, right, who, you know, and I know that I'm in a not a very tiny minority, but in a very small minority of people who didn't think Boba Fett was very interesting or cool from the get-go. And you're like, you have all these expectations that you're giving yourself for no reason. You have no reason to do that because it's not like the events that occur in any of these offshoots, these miniseries, whatever, are going to have wide-scale ramifications for the most part. You know, if they are going to have huge ramifications, they need to be hyped up the same way that Obi-Wan was. You know,
where not disappointed like Obi-Wan was.
I liked Obi-Wan, but again, you're talking to someone who this is someone who also liked the prequels for the most part. Like I have a lot of weird and controversial
I thoroughly
opinions
enjoyed
about
the prequels.
I like the prequels though because of the ridiculousness of like.
Oh yeah. Then again, you did
building.
say you like Jar Jar Binks. You freaking weirdo.
I like Jar Jar Binks. I think that
Binks
Boba Fett is overrated. Like
you said, who was overrated?
Boba Fett. I think Boba Fett is overrated. I think Luke Skywalker is an interesting
They
character, but not the best character in the series. Like,
I can
don't
actually
do
agree
him
with that.
justification. They nerf Boba Fett.
I mean,
Boba
they
Fett.
did. Like, if you look at
Nerfed
like
him
the way they
so
built him
hard.
up in like the books and comics before Disney like retconned it all, like that guy was pretty freaking dope. And to have all of that washed away and them to literally not take any of that into the new era was such a disappointment. Like, I loved reading. I had the Force Unleashed 2 for the 360, and I got a little comic for it, and it took place like before and during, but it was through Boba Fett's POV, and so he's tasked of hunting down Starkiller, and you just see how freaking dope this guy is with his investigation and just him just murdering people to find out, like, to do what he was hired to do by Vader. And you see like his relationship with Vader, which is very consistent throughout the series of, I mean, before Disney bought it, I suppose. And it's like one of those really cool things that I like to see, and I wish they would have built on, because Vader's used Boba Fett before. Like, he's hired him multiple times, but we don't see any
Yeah,
of that
be down.
at all. Like, there was a point where Vader was up against Boba Fett because Boba Fett had a lightsaber from a killed Jedi, and I think they had some kind of conflict, and they were fighting in a freaking alleyway. Like, that's dope, dude. But we don't get to see that.
We see Banthas.
We see Banthas.
See, I think that I mean, there's so many interesting and like intricate details too, just in general about Star Wars, and you can say this about any franchise that as soon as you turn that over away from the original creator, it's going to lose a lot. It's going to lose a lot of the charm, the consistency, like, because as soon as you go from George Lucas is writing this whole script and all of the lore with the help of like one author per book, you know, like, you don't have essentially the lore judge,
Yes, you do.
to. Oh, okay, but only recently. That's only become a job recently.
Well,
like,
I
in
mean,
the last two series I've seen,
No,
where
so-
there's actually been a person who's in charge of making sure everything is consistent.
From what I understand, Dave Filoni was working, like, when Clone Wars first came out, Dave Filoni worked directly with Lucas on the lore, and he learned everything about the lore from him, which is why he's the creative head of Lucasfilms. And any of the good projects we've seen, like Mandalorian and Ahsoka that's coming out, a lot, Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, Tales of the Jedi, all of those do come from Dave Filoni, and it's all because, like, he learned everything about the lore from Lucas. Like, that's why I keep saying he's George Lucas Jr., because he knows everything about the lore. So when you see these series that are like, don't really have Filoni involved, or these movies that don't really have Filoni involved because he's working on these other ones, you can tell the quality is pretty different. Andor, Obi-Wan, I mean, he may have been involved, but man, he was not involved. And
I think Obi-Wan was so good.
dude, Obi-Wan
That should be its own podcast episode.
I'm down to do that because it was so bad, dude.
Because I will fight tooth and nail to defend that series. I think that series is, I think it's better than any of the other like standalone TV series
that is
we've watched.
quite cap, dude, because that series
Stop the cap.
was literally one. I can't even, dude. I don't want to go. Plot armor and just BS story writing. That's what we got.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm not going to defend the dialogue, because if we're going to sit here and talk about Star Wars dialogue, there's no.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
No one is immune to Star Wars dialogue.
No one, dude.
No, I do think though that Obi-Wan, I think it gets a bad rap. I think that it's treated harsher than it deserves. What don't you like about it?
How do you explain the what number is she? The Inquisitor? The main
11.
11.
She's 11?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you explain her? Overpowered. I mean,
plot armor. That's what it is. It's just literal plot armor.
I mean,
yeah. Plot armor is, you can say plot armor for anyone though. Why does I mean, shit. There's so many examples came through my mind immediately as soon as I was like, when should someone have died and they didn't in Star Wars?
You
Like,
like
we
you
don't-
had examples in your head, but you couldn't choose a specific one, so it looked like you're just like,
Yeah.
I have something, I promise. Don't worry, it's there.
No, literally, like, for example, Obi-Wan in Episode 3 getting the buzz droids, ripping his droid apart, even though he's not a good pilot, and crashing into a hangar bay by the fucking skin of his teeth, the hair on his nutsack, barely crashing in, and then not getting immediately swarmed by droids, and him and Anakin.
That one we can deem certified plot armor there. I will give
That's
you
Yeah.
deem
There's
certified.
what's another one? Obi-Wan somehow defeating Darth Maul, even though he just absolutely bodied Qui-Gon. Like,
Well, I
Hey,
mean,
that was the Force. The
that
Force was with him
that
that
one
day.
can be a debate. That one can be a debate.
The Force
The
was
Force
with
is the plot
Obi-Wan.
armor, then.
Chuck Norris is the plot armor.
Anytime
The
that
Force is
anyone
plot armor,
lives
okay.
or dies, yeah, anytime anyone lives or dies in Star Wars, and it's
The Force was with him.
inexplicable, yeah, it's the Force, bro.
Well,
The
I
Force
mean-
kept them alive. The Force deemed it necessary that your survival,
Also,
you know,
they made blaster and no, they made lightsaber like stabs like nothing in that series. Like there's so many people that lived by getting stabbed by a lightsaber. It's actually ridiculous. A child
stabby
got
stabs.
stabbed via lightsaber from Anakin, but then just somehow is able to survive, just walks it off, said, put some ice on it, kid, you're gonna be fine, and then ends up being the student of Vader, knowing that he's the one
It
that
cauterizes the
it
wounds.
makes
It's so
no
hot.
sense, bro.
Yeah,
Maul
or it immediately
doesn't have
cauterizes it.
legs, bro. Like, there's no way.
There
we
is
can
a book that
explain-
explains how he got his robo legs, and he
I'm
did.
not saying there's no explanation for the robo legs. There's no explanation for the survival of getting cut in half and falling down a vent shaft.
Okay.
There's so much plot armor and ridiculousness that, like, I understand to an extent when you're like, that seems like a kind of a stretch. But then I think about Jar Jar Binks. I go,
can't
wow, I
with
like
the
Jar Jar
bigs,
Binks.
dude.
Why is he in the movies or whatever? Or like, why is Emperor Palpatine alive for the 9th time? Why is he alive for 9 straight movies?
He should not
Who
have been
knows?
in the sequels.
Yeah, I'm not here to defend these decisions as the correct ones from a storytelling standpoint, but I will say that they're the ones that were made and that we have to live with them. So,
I don't want to.
considering all of the previous examples that we have of ridiculous, stupid, either overpowered people who came out of nowhere or people who, like the Palpatines, who even knows where they came from, like, and all of a sudden Rey Palpatine is a super strong Jedi, or
Doesn't make sense.
yeah, like there's so many of these that I think you just gotta learn to swim with it. You just gotta sink into it and just be like, this is just how shit works here.
You're like, you gotta
Because-
swim with the shit, dude. Like you're in the pool, you just gotta swim with it.
Yeah, you just gotta understand that, like, hey, some people are gonna be really strong for no reason, and then some people who were really strong might just fucking die, like, again, for no reason. So, fuck it, I guess we ball. Like, that's just the take you have to have whenever something happens with this universe.
So a little off topic, but I forgot it when we were talking about this earlier, but it kind of reminded me when we were talking about Obi-Wan. When you were talking about having like a Darth Vader series or a movie, I actually think a Darth Vader movie could be good, but only if it's just one movie. Not if they try to make a trilogy.
Can't be
or
a
anything
series.
out of
It has to be like a.
It cannot be a
it has
series.
to be
like I
like
would
a
say,
Star Wars story type thing,
yeah,
like they did with Rogue One.
it would have to be something like that, where I think if the story was like him dealing with like the death of Padme, or like that, and being, Palpatine's like, hey, I'm gonna replace you now with these new people, and so he has to fight these new. I mean, that happens like several times in the comics where Palpatine's consistently trying to make Vader better by replacing him, like dealing with,
challenging.
exactly, like maybe he's like he has to deal with some of the Jedis he like trained with and like grew up with when he was in the Jedi Order. Also dealing with Padme's death and the loss of Ahsoka and all those consequences, while also trying to be, Vader. Like that would be a good movie to see all those turmoils between the once great Jedi. And then it would be cool if someone be like, someone called him by Anakin and then he kills him. He's like, Anakin's dead. Like that'd be a cool way to like end the movie or something. Because I mean that happens a lot. Anyone that knows who he really is pretty much dead. Like
Yeah.
But I think that would be a good movie, and it would be such good fan service.
Rebuttal. I think it should be a series. There's too much for it to be a movie. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
we don't need like the whole story of Vader. We
I'm
just
not
need one.
saying we need an autobiography of Darth Vader. I'm just saying there's so much to him that
you freeze.
I don't think it would fit in a movie. Like all you were saying right there, I don't know if that could fit in a movie. You know what I mean?
Sure you can.
The trick with the movie though is that there's always, I mean, if you're writing a movie, right, there's one overarching plot.
Yeah, there's a plot
from the start to the end. There's one overarching conflict, and then you have smaller conflicts that maybe help or hurt the protagonist's journey, right? But with Vader, and I kind of agree with Nova here. With Vader, there's so many, like we don't need anything else long form about Vader. We know everything that needs to be covered sort of in the long form. We care more about the short form, mini-series-y, TV showy type. Yeah, things that would be covered in a comic book and not just a regular book. Yeah, where you're
the betrayal
covering a specific mission or a specific like building up the tension with Vader and Palpatine would look and I think be received way better over a TV series because like these cliffhangers that like get the audience to bite would be way more interesting than like sitting down and from the very start of the movie it's just building up this tension to the Palpatine finale because we know it's not the actual finale. We know how Vader and Palpatine ends. He throws him down a fucking vent.
Yeah.
The classic Sith way. He dies down a ventilator shaft.
Due to gravity.
To gravity.
The only thing they can't escape is the laws of physics.
Dooku escaped it. He died via, decapitation.
His head fell.
His head
fell
to the ground.
Frick
Yeah,
gravity.
exactly.
But kind of making this full circle then, if this was done as a series, I would want it to be in the form of like Tales of the Jedi. Because
it needs to be animated.
Well, yeah. Because if you do it live action, I think it's going to take a lot more, and there's going to be a lot more expectations with it. Whereas if you do it the Tales of the Jedi...
The budget would also be worse.
Yeah.
Budget would be way worse.
But if you do it like Tales of the Jedi way, like even though this series was so good, like it wasn't promoted as much, because it was obviously just fan service. So if they did something similar and people were like, well, this clip was cool and they go to watch it, that could launch maybe multiple seasons, which whether or not we want that is a different story. But we could have it where it's the parallel where it's like Qui-Gon dealing with everyone becoming, going to the dark side, but he's still trying to be good. And then it's like Vader dealing with all this light side he has to literally eliminate and also possibly even deal with himself because it's not like he was full dark side. He was always still in conflict, but he's also having to really suppress all that from freaking Palpatine because that man snuffed out any light side he smelled. Like he took a whiff. He's like, that's going down. I'm shutting it down right now.
All right. I have to dip.
I was gonna say that's really all I had.
Yeah, it is about that time for me personally. It's been a blast. I will always be here if you want more ridiculous Star Wars hot takes that I know that you guys will probably disagree with. So
100%.
Hit me up. The next time you guys want to hear about why I think that Leia was actually a really good character in Obi-Wan.
All right, guys. So that's gonna be it for this podcast episode. Be sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to listen to us on all the other podcast platforms. Thank you for watching. I'm Captain Zeus, host of the most. That's Gravy, our
howdy
hot take freaking guest star here. And then we got Nova, the lovely Nova. He just freezes everything. Bye, guys. I'm gonna go freaking cry over this.